You will find that even wild animals can be charmed by your charisma. Looks like you've found a new pal. Oh, don't get carried away there, big fella.
What's up guys, my name is Steve and welcome to Starlight Drive-In, where we're going to be building a marketplace. So I knew where I wanted the gate, but I didn't know exactly how I wanted it. So I ended up just moving on and started building a wall. With the mod place anywhere that literally allows you to place anywhere, I began adding these massive junk fences and adding little random bits of junk to make it more believable. So I continued on and made this first corner. Then I ended up using the smaller junk fences along the middle of the side of the settlement so I could have a guard platform. Then I continued to add these massive junk fences to wall off the rest of the one side, making sure it didn't clip through the already existing building. Then I ended up just walling off this tiny area before moving on and adding the platform to the one side. Then I added some guard posts randomly along it and fenced off the gaps in between. I like to mix things up and add random fences to make it look more believable. Then I ended up adding junk fences along the inside of the platform. Once again mixing stuff up and added steps to either side. Then using the mod spring cleaning, I was able to move the random junk and little bits of scrap around the settlements you usually can't move. Then I continued walling off and adding little features to make it look more realistic and more believable. Another cool little mod I'm using is craftable ramps and rails. That adds a couple of ramps and railings to the game. There's not many, but there's enough to make the mod useful. I continue to wall off the other side of the settlement, making sure I kept this little shed where the workbench is inside the settlement rather than on the outside. So once again I was using these huge junk fences around the front corner, and I took a step back and made sure I was happy with the way it looked. And then these are the little ramps that you get with the ramps and rails mod. Then I began adding random details around the sides of the settlement to make it look more like a believable, lore-friendly, livable place. Well, not livable, but somewhere where people actually live within this world, or at least trade. So I ended up making a gate, and I used this smaller junk fence that I didn't actually know existed until I looked, because originally I was going to use the larger one, but this little junk one fitted perfectly underneath this roof. So I ended up walling off the sides of the gate and then using the homemaker mod, which adds over 1,000 new objects to the game. I ended up adding this little light to the front of the settlement. Then using the cool mod Settlement Resources Revived that basically adds a load more generators with different power levels. I added this little generator to power the lights. Above the gate I ended up adding fences and guard posts, so there's a little guard platform above the gate. Then using the mod that inspired me to build this place, Business Settlements, I began to add some signs to the front of the settlement that made this settlement believable as a marketplace. I was randomly scanning through the items and come along these vehicles. Then this bus, which was ripped in half, gave me the perfect idea. So I made a little gap for it, and this is basically going to be a guard tower coming out of the front of the settlement. So I ended up making a little support underneath to make it more believable, making sure I fenced it off and made it look strong enough. Then I added some steps up into it and added some support beams on the side that I was going to put a little guard post on, so I can have a guard looking out. Then I come across these cool little signs again, so I dotted them around where I thought they would look good. Then I started to add some lights in the front of the settlement to light it all up. I took a step back and looked at my work and made sure I was happy with the way it was looking. Then I continued to add a few more little bits and bobs. I wanted a little guard placed next to the gate, so I ended up making a little gap and added this little doorway. Then I fenced off and added some barriers to the bottom, and then I made this little place into a little room. Then I added this door with a slit in it, so I was able to position a guard behind it so he can see clearly through while feeling protected. I moved a little arrow to make sure people knew where to go and added a little light. So I did this little guard post rug and placed a guy right behind it. Then I added a guard post to the front of the bus, making sure it looked alright from the outside. Then fencing off the inside to add some more protection. Then I continued to add some protection to the windows around the outside, using these benches to cover up the bits that clipped inside. Then I placed a little cloth roof over the guard post and added supports to the sides. Then to finish off, I added some steps so the guards can get up on top. Thanks for watching, guys. That basically wraps up the wall and the gate. In the next episode we're going to be hitting up the restaurant and revamping the whole thing. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have any cool ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, guys, and goodbye.